I never imagined that a single moment could fracture the foundation of everything I'd built my life upon, but that's exactly what happened the day she left. One sentence, barely a whisper, "I can't do this anymore." That was all it took to unravel me. At first, I convinced myself it was temporary. People have fights, don't they? They take time to think, to breathe. But days turned into weeks and weeks into months. She wasn't coming back, and the weight of that realization pressed against my chest like a boulder I couldn't push away. Mornings were the worst. My alarm would ring, dragging me from the dream world where we still existed together. For a few seconds, I'd forget she was gone. I'd stretch my arm across the bed, expecting to feel the warmth of her skin, but there was only cold emptiness. My hand would linger there, fingers curling into the sheets, until the silence became unbearable. Work became a battlefield of distractions. I'd sit at my desk, staring at spreadsheets that blurred into meaningless grids of numbers. My coworkers tried to engage me at first. "Hey, want to grab coffee?" they'd ask, or "You okay, man?" I always forced a smile, muttered something about being fine. Eventually, they stopped asking. The pity in their eyes was harder to face than the loneliness. My manager noticed, of course. Deadlines slipped through my fingers. Projects piled up. "You're not yourself lately," she said during one of our meetings. She sounded gentle, concerned, but her words cut me deeper than any reprimand. Not myself. Who was I now, if not the person who had planned a future with her? Even the smallest things reminded me of her. The sound of heels clicking on the office floor would make me turn, half expecting to see her walking toward me with that mischievous smile she reserved just for me. On my lunch break, I couldn't step into our favorite cafe without hearing the echo of her laughter in my head. I stopped going there, and then to every other place that held traces of her. My world shrank. Friends tried to help. They dragged me to bars, set me up on awkward dates with women I could barely look in the eye. "You've got to move on," they said. But how could I explain that moving on felt like erasing her, like cutting out pieces of myself and leaving them to rot? Nights were the hardest. I'd sit in my apartment, surrounded by relics of our life together. The mug she always used, still tucked in the back of the cabinet. The scarf she left on the coat rack last winter. I couldn't bring myself to throw them away, as if keeping them meant keeping a part of her. The quiet gnawed at me. Sometimes I'd scroll through old photos, my thumb hovering over the delete button. But I could never bring myself to press it. Her face stared back at me, frozen in moments of happiness that now felt like lies. I wondered if she ever thought of me, if she regretted leaving, or if she'd already replaced me in her mind. I started to resent the world for moving on without me. My friends got married, had kids, built lives that seemed so effortlessly whole. I hated their joy, their ease. I hated myself for hating them. Guilt piled onto the grief, and soon even getting out of bed felt like a monumental task. The worst part wasn't the sadness, it was the emptiness. Grief would have been a relief compared to the numbness that seeped into every corner of my life. It was like I'd been hollowed out, like my heart had been replaced with a void that swallowed everything good. Months passed. I don't know when the first flicker of change happened. Maybe it was when I caught my reflection in a window and didn't recognize the man staring back. The slouched shoulders, the unshaven face, the eyes dull with hopelessness. I realized I had become a ghost of who I once was, haunting the ruins of a life that no longer existed. It wasn't a revelation or a dramatic turning point, just a quiet decision to try, to do one thing differently. I started small, shaving, taking a walk, saying yes to a friend's invitation. It wasn't easy, and most days I still carried her absence like a phantom limb. But I was moving however slowly, and for the first time, it felt like I might be moving towards something instead of away from her. I don't know if I'll ever fully let her go. Some loves leave scars too deep to fade completely, but I'm learning to live with the ache, to find meaning in the pieces of myself that remain. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough.